Alrighty, so welcome back everybody, thanks for joining me. So today we're starting off part 1 of 3 of my 4x5 tutorial series. Today we are focusing on shooting outdoors using natural lighting and working with the model in an outdoor setting. As you can see right now, this is a very outdoorsy area. We are actually in the Royal Botanical Gardens here in Melbourne. This is the children's garden part of the larger garden. Take a shot every time I say gardens, I dare you. And Aurora, my friend who is modeling for me today, she's also filming for me at the moment because she's a top lad. I'm going to leave a link to her Instagram down below because she's also another really talented photographer. So go give her a follow, highly recommend it. I'm probably going to say that a few times today just to really enforce that idea. So today we're using my 4x5 and we picked this spot here. So we're going to find a spot out in this area to take the photos in because it's really nice, it's kind of cute. Really nice light coming through the trees and stuff, good backgrounds with foliage. And I'm going to be going through the process of using the 4x5. I'm also going to be explaining the 4x5 in a lot more detail, the different parts of it, how each part works and functions and stuff with the whole camera. And then we're going to be talking about how to work with natural light and working with the models. We're also going to be going over just generally a run through of a shoot using a 4x5 in an outdoor setting. So let's jump into it. So I thought we'd start this video off by talking about the camera itself. So this is a Corona View camera, built sometime between the 1930s and the 1900s. I'm not actually entirely sure when. There's no serial number, no patent number or anything that's on the camera. It's a bit of an enigma, but I kind of like it because of that. I got it from Boston. Not that I actually went to Boston, unfortunately, but I bought it on eBay. And pretty much how it works is, it's a 4x5 camera. So meaning it takes one of these, which is a film holder. Right, so it takes one of those which holds a negative, a photo negative. That is this size. So this is a 4x5 inch negative. So that's the type of film it uses, which goes into the back here. Pretty much it's very, very simple in terms of mechanics. At the front here we have the lens. And the lens, pretty much you have your shutter control up here. You got this little aperture dial here, so that changes how much light goes into the lens. You've got the cocking mechanism, and then you've also got the actual shutter, as you've seen. If there was a film back there, I would have just taken a photo. Okay, so I thought I'd talk just a little bit more about the functions and how a 4x5 lens actually works, because the lens, of course, is one of, if not the most important part of a camera. So pretty much these lenses, they work almost exactly the same as any other lens, be it on a digital camera, a 35mm SLR or a medium format SLR. The light goes through the lens, which is then projected back onto the film. The only difference is these lenses are a lot smaller, and they're generally, everything is built into the lens, whereas with other cameras you have settings on the camera body. All the settings and stuff are actually on the lens itself. Now, modern 4x5 camera lenses look a little bit different to this. They're often quite a bit bigger, and they can sometimes even have a piece that comes out the back of the board, which is what they're mounted to. But given this is a very, very old lens, like I said, it's probably nearly 100 years old. Very simple design. So how it works is at the top here, this dial controls our shutter speeds. So this lens can go from 1 second to 1/200th of a second. Only 3 settings of those only work. Only the 200th, the 100th, and the 50th actually work properly on this camera. Everything else is a bit delayed, it's a bit slow, so I only use those 3. We also have these 3 here, which control how the lens is opened. So M is your standard take the photo. D, the lens stays open for as long as you're holding down the shutter. And then Z is, like I said before, it's your continuous. It stays on until you want to turn it off. Okay, so now in between what is called the front standard, which is where the lens is mounted to, and the rear standard, which is where the ground glass is mounted to, we'll talk about that in a second, we have the bellows. Now the bellows act as it's where the light passes through, right? So the light goes through the lens at the front to the glass at the back through the bellows, and they act as it's sort of like how on a zoom lens, you've got the big body of it and you turn it and it gets further and closer away. This is pretty much how that works. So if you look at, if I was to move this all the way back, as you can see, the bellows are like an accordion. They stretch out, they close up, and this is how I focus the camera, by moving these 2 standards forwards and backwards and having the accordion bellows in the middle of it adjust for that. That's pretty much how the focusing and all that works. Okay, so now we're going to be focusing on what's called the rear standard of the camera. So the rear standard is the back chunk of it, right? So this is where all the focusing and all the film goes. So a 4x5 camera takes film that is, by given the name, 4 by 5 inches. Right, so this is what an undeveloped negative looks like, which is a wasted negative. Can't use that anymore. And those negatives slot into one of these. Now this is a film holder, a universal film holder, so it can fit into any 4 by 5 camera. These take 2 shots each. They have one bit of film on each side, which is divided by a barrier in between. What I'm looking at now is the rear standard of the camera. So as you can see, it is the bigger chunk of it. So this is like the main body of the camera. Now, what we have here is what's called the ground glass, which is how we focus on these cameras, where it's different to 35mm SLRs, medium format SLRs and digital cameras, because in those cameras we're looking through ground glass at a mirror out the lens. With this one, we're just looking through the ground glass straight through the lens. There is no little hinge or anything like that to separate the lens from where we're looking. So what kind of makes it a bit difficult is we have to focus before we put in the film. We can't, you can't have the film in, focus it, and then take the photo on the go. So, which makes it a little bit of a lengthier process, but results generally end up being worth it. So, how it works is, at the front of the lens, like I spoke about before, on this lens in particular, so not all lenses are exactly the same, given this is a very old lens. Not a lot of them would still work like this, but we have Z as the continuous lens focus, which is something that's on all 4 by 5 camera lenses. When we open that up, what we have is what's directly in front of the camera is projected onto the ground glass in upside down and reverse, because the way the light comes through makes it upside down and reverse. So it's a little bit tricky to wrap your head around the first few times you use it, but you get the hang of it eventually. So what we'd do is, say I want to take a photo of these trees here, what I'd do is I'd have the camera set up, and I would, getting it all right, getting it all set up, and then I'd open the lens up, and I'd look through the ground glass to make sure that it's in focus. So to focus it, on the side of the camera here, we have these little knobs which move the standards forward and backwards depending on how we want to focus it. Now we can do that with both standards. The front standard is how mounts the lens. If we want to move the lens closer or further away, we just adjust that one. Same with the rear standard. So by adjusting the rear standard here, I'm able to get those trees into focus. Now I'm ready to take my photo. So what I do is I'd close the lens. That closed, yep. And then I'd go through setting my aperture, setting my shutter speed, and assuming that I've done all of that, we take the film holder. There's a hinge here between the body of the rear standard and the actual glass itself. We'd slide the film into there like that, making sure. Yes, it is. Thank you. Kid being a good lad, giving me back my film. Okay, so now that the film is where the glass was, it means that the focused image that we set up before is now focused on the film itself, not on the glass, because the glass has moved back. Next job would be make sure it's not closed because I don't ruin the film. We'd pull the slider out because each thing has a little dark slide. We'd set the shot, take the shot, and then slider would go back in. Okay, so when working with a model, it's really important to keep in mind that they need to be still. Because stillness in working this kind of situation using the 4x5 camera is super important, because the camera generally runs off very, very slow shutter speeds. My general speed on this camera is a 50th of a second, which any movement in that 50th of a second is going to show. Even though it sounds really quickly, it's not fast at all. So what you need to make sure is that your model can sit still for that amount of time that it takes for you to focus, and then close the lens, put the film in the back of the camera, take the slide out, take the photo, put it back in, and then they're good to go again. So something really important you got to keep in mind is that they're able to stay still, as Aurora will do in 3, 2, 1, still. See, she's a pro already. Okay, so when shooting in an outdoor environment, regardless of the camera, one thing you really got to take notice of is how the light in your environment works. So at the moment where we are in quite a dark area. It's a lot of shade because of all the trees that are around us. But we've also got because there's no clouds, very harsh, bright light streaking through all these branches and stuff. As you can see, really deep shadows, but with also really bright highlights, stuff. So very contrasty areas. In doing that, I pick places not so much like sort of where I am now. Actually, how does the light look on my face right now?
Quite bright.
Yeah. So as you can see on my face right now, it's very bright, stuff like that. If I was to take a photo using the 4x5, my face would be well lit, be a bit flat, but everything else behind me would probably be quite black. So instead, rather, what I want to go is I want to go somewhere like here, probably, because the light would be a lot more even, It'd still, if I wanted to add a few highlights from the branches and stuff coming onto my face, I'd like step over here or something like that. I think I can't actually see what's on my face right now.
There's nothing on your face right now.
Nothing on my face right now?
I mean, it's on your jacket, but...
On my jacket, perfect. You can see on my jacket you've got these little highlights and stuff like that. So, keeping that in mind, the spot that I've chosen to take these photos in is just over here. This little corner of the rock faces here. You can't really see it at the moment because the light's moved a little bit. But before, when we were setting up for this, whilst Aurora was sitting down over here, we had nice even lighting and stuff like that, but we also had, like on my jacket before, we had some of those little patchwork bits of highlight coming in onto her face and stuff. So when shooting outdoors, you really got to consider how the light is working, and you have to play to the light. It's not like in a studio where you have full control. Pretty much you're at nature's mercy when you're out doing this kind of thing. You got to really just take what you've got, what the sun is doing, what you've been given in terms of light, and you just got to go with it. You got to make it work, because there are some ways to adjust that. Like I've got in my backpack over here, I've got a reflector that I can use if I want to. So this is just a little light bounce thing. If you don't have one of these and you're shooting outdoors, or even if you're shooting in the studio, I really recommend it. They are super handy. It's a little pop-up reflector. As you can see, it bounces light, either a gold or a silver, and that's just a really good little thing to have if you're wanting to fill in shadows on the cheekbones or under the jaw, just anywhere like that. If you just need a little bit of extra light, these are really handy. So if I was wanting to shoot in an area like where I am right now, but try and catch some of the highlights and stuff and control it a bit, you could use something like this in reverse. If you didn't want to control the light but you wanted to block it, I don't actually have one on me right now, I forgot to bring it, but you can get what's called a diffuser, which is like sort of like a cloudy white fabric that you then put over the source of light, and that it diffuses it. Yeah. So yeah, when shooting in an outdoor environment, you really got to be careful of, and really got to keep in mind of what the light is doing. And after a little while, you'll start to see it. You'll start to read how it's going to affect your photos, and how the light is going to play in your image. Alrighty, so now I have the 4x5 set up. I'm all ready to shoot, and I've got my friend Aurora. Say hi, Aurora. Hi. Yeah, so Aurora's agreed to give me a hand today, both with filming and modeling for me. There's a truck going past. It's kind of loud. Let's give us a sec. Yep. Yeah, that's cool. We can wait. That's fine. Yep. Okay, so Aurora is also another quite good photographer, so I'm going to leave a link to her Instagram in the comments. Go give her a follow. She's a fucking legend. Alrighty, so now that we've got the 4x5 set up, I've got the model set up, now what we've got to do is the testing and metering. So, I'm kind of lazy, and I don't own a proper light meter, so what instead I usually do is I just use my digital camera to do this. So I take a photo with my digital first, and then I mimic the settings on the 4x5. So, in doing that, I've determined that I need a shutter speed of 200, and I've set the aperture to as wide open as it can go because I want that nice bokeh of the background. If you don't know what bokeh is, it's pretty much like the blurry effect that you get in portrait photos. A little bit of linguistic fun. You guys can learn, add that to your photography dictionary. So now I'm going to go under this hood, and I'm going to focus Aurora. So as you'll see in a second, that opens up. We can now see her. And I'm just gonna focus her real quick. Give me a sec. Oh. Alright, sorry for the blackout, the cloth fell over my head. So, I focused it, I've adjusted the front of the lens because this can actually move up and down. It's kind of cool. So I can, move the lens up and down to where I need to do it. I've got Aurora in focus, so now that's all that's left to do is actually stick in the film and take the photo. So, let's do that. What do you reckon? We're gonna do that? We're gonna do that. Alright, cool. Okay, so I'm a massive idiot. It's currently like 12:15 on a Sunday night. I got back on Thursday, and I was just putting together the video and stuff, and I realized, I didn't shoot an outro. I didn't film anything past taking the actual shots because I had to get a train home that night, and I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to miss my train. I still have to get dinner, so me and Aurora were like, okay, is that everything? We're like, yeah, that's everything. So we packed up and skedaddled and got Macca's, and I went home and stuff, and then I completely forgot about shooting something just to wrap the video up, so I'm doing that right now. Yep, thank you for watching. That was a bit of a long video, but it's, excuse me, it's not exactly a simple process, as you can see. Well, it's simple, but it takes a little bit. It takes a while, I mean, yeah. But yeah, cheers for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I've just started to be able to develop my own 4x5s and stuff. The chemicals came in the mail the other night. I spent all day over a laundry sink, possibly breathing in potentially carcinogenic powders and stuff, making developer and developing my negatives, and I've gotten 4 done. So yeah, I'm going to be doing more over the next few days. I've uploaded some snapshots of that to my Instagram. I'll leave a link down to that below. I'll also leave a link to Aurora's, as I've said like twice throughout this video. Go check her out. And yeah, the second video in the series, which will be the in-studio process, so focusing more on using continuous lighting and how continuous lighting is beneficial and a lot easier to use when it comes to large format and stuff, and like why I use it. That'll be up sometime in the next few weeks, hopefully. I've got to slot that back in because I've got school coming back up, yay. But yep, again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.